Reporters are stationed around the country. We begin our coverage here in the U.S. Capitol area with Philip Alexiou in Arlington, Virginia, and Anita Powell reporting from the White House. Anita, let's begin our election coverage with you. This race for the White House is coming down to the wire.
Indeed it is, Esther. As an indication of that, some of the first voters in the nation who went to the polls yesterday were at midnight in the tiny town of Dixville Notch, New Hampshire. I bring this up because this is a microcosm of how tight this race is. They had 6 registered voters in that town. 3 voted for Harris, 3 voted for Trump. That gives us an idea of how conflicted Americans are as we approach this major election.
It's also a moment of uncertainty, especially for the White House staff. What are you learning?
Well, here's what I'm learning. Behind me is the White House, and this place is staffed by thousands of government employees who are going to make sure that the grass still gets cut, the walls still get painted, everything still gets done, which I think is a very telling detail. That in the United States of America, no matter who lives in the White House, the institutions and the machinery prevail. That is the vibe that I'm getting here from the White House today. Of course, many staffers in the Biden administration are, of course, also sympathetic to Vice President Harris, but they remain government employees and staffers. And so there may be hope, but at the end of the day, this is a place of work. The business of government still has to happen, and that's what's happening today at the White House, even though President Biden has been out of sight all day and is expected to be for much of the day.
Well, indeed, Anita, there's a lot of excitement, high expectations of a Kamala Harris win for staffers there. Are they cautious, though, very quickly?
I think that's very clear. Everybody's cautious. You saw how tight this is, and we're going to be down to the wire. This is going to be a nail-biter.
Thank you so much, Anita. VOA's Anita Powell, our correspondent at the White House, reporting live there from the White House. Now let's go across the Potomac River from Washington to Arlington, Virginia, where VOA's Philip Alexiou is reporting from a voting location. Hello, Phil. What's happening at your location?
Well, Esther, a lot is happening. First of all, it seems like every time we talk, the weather is perfect. It's been perfect for the past month at least. It's beautiful sunshine, so it's a beautiful day to go to the polls, which is what a lot of people are doing here in Arlington. I spoke with Stephanie, the chief election officer. She said today is very busy. They've had over 700 people come here to vote already, and in this state, they've had 2.3 million people voting early. So it's interesting that they've had a nice turnout of people voting by absentee or voting early, and yet they're having a very busy day today. And people are, it's quiet, but it's busy, and the line's taking about 15 minutes at the most. So as busy as they are, people are getting in to get their votes through.
And what are you hearing from voters?
Well, we had a chance to talk to a couple of people, several people, in fact, who are here, have put their votes in. One of them, Raj, who's an Arlington resident. Now, he has been very concerned about the rhetoric, about the language that has been in the campaigns. He is concerned about the demagoguery, and he is also rather fearful that this country could see a fascist leader lead the country. And this is Raj, who was here with a friend, Deborah. And so Deborah, we spoke with her, and we asked her, you know, are people anxious? In fact, we asked all the voters, are they nervous? And all of them are anxious. Some are a little nervous, and they're worried because there's so much at stake in this election, as each side is telling us. And even the voters are telling us, whether it's the voters here, or if it's Vice President Kamala Harris saying that this is one of the biggest elections in history, if not the biggest, and of course, former President Trump is saying the same thing, and some people are saying the same thing here. Another gentleman we spoke to, Alfredo, Reston resident, he's talking about he wants to be proud of the next president, whoever it is, who represents this country, but he has several nieces, and he's concerned about women's rights. He's concerned about their rights and their freedoms. And So that's kind of where people are sort of feeling right now,
Right.
going into the polls.
Philip, many thanks for your reporting. Philip Alexiou live for us from Arlington, Virginia. Now let's go to the southern U.S. state of Georgia, where VOA's Anthony LaBruto is standing by in Marietta, Georgia. Hello, Anthony. What are you seeing at your location?
Hello, Esther. Yes, so I'm at currently the biggest voting precinct in Cobb County, the Cobb County Civic Center right here behind me. And really, as you can see right behind me, there really isn't too much happening. Around 60% of Cobb County residents have already voted in the early voting processes. So the poll workers I spoke to inside there just a little while ago aren't expecting it to actually be too much busier than what we're already seeing. The small trickle of voters around lunchtime, it's kind of picked up a little bit here. 2, 3, 4, 5 people. There's hardly been a line here this morning, but I've seen some voters come in and out in under 5 minutes.
And now that this is the last day of voting in person, what is happening? When can we expect results, especially in that state?
Absolutely. So the Georgia Supreme Court kind of threw a little bit of a wrench into when the votes will actually start being counted. So there's about 3,000 mail-in ballots that were for Cobb County specifically that the Georgia Supreme Court ruled must be delivered to a polling station. Even though they were mailed to residents, they can no longer mail them back, or they can no longer be postmarked by Election Day. They have to be in a vote counter's hands by 7 p.m. tonight, along with all of the other in-person and early voting ballots. So certainly going to be a little bit of a challenge there, at least for the vote counters. But poll counters are expecting to have some sort of preliminary results once they start counting around 7 p.m., although certainly later tonight, Georgia poll workers will begin hand counting those ballots. So we should be hearing something within the next day or so.
Any other side shows you're seeing on the side there, Anthony, regarding the elections and where people stand with this election?
Absolutely. I actually had the chance to go to both Kamala Harris's rally that was in southern Atlanta and J.D. Vance's final rally, which was at the Cobb County Galleria Convention Center, just a little bit down the road from me. Definitely trying to energize voters coming to this final day here. I think both sides have become very, very passionate. I think there's a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of fatigue when it comes to this election. So I think voters are certainly more than happy to see this election completed and the votes actually start to be counted.
Sorry to keep you a little more, but what are you seeing in terms of the voter turnout? Are you seeing the younger generation, more of those, or the middle-aged, or even the older ones? What's the number?
Especially here, since I've actually gotten a good chance actually to see a good cross-section of voters here. There's been different older couples. There's been single parents with kids coming in. There's been single people just coming in, trickling in, husbands and wives. It's really been a surprising cross-section. Even though this is during the day, this actually isn't a holiday here. Election Day isn't recognized as a holiday in Georgia. It's been kind of an interesting thing to see just all different types of voters come in. I think there was certainly a little bit of anxiety, I think, among voters, like, what am I going to be seeing here? There are going to be protest canvassers, but it really has been a beautiful day, a really peaceful day, and I think that anxiety really can be put to rest once they come out down to vote here.
I know you've been there a couple of days, Anthony. Have you met like a first-time voter, and perhaps what did they tell you? What are they excited about?
So I had the chance to actually speak with a first-time voter at the Kamala Harris rally, like I mentioned, in southern Atlanta, and they were really, really excited just to be able to cast the ballot. They feel it's their civic duty to really to show up, and especially a swing state like this, to show their support for, although it was a Kamala Harris rally, their chosen candidate here in the United States. Joe Biden had won the state by just over about 30,000 votes, about 0.2%. So certainly here in Georgia, in the swing state of Georgia, every vote, and for first-time voters, that their power is certainly going to be felt even on the national stage.
Anthony, many thanks for your great reporting. Anthony LaBruto, live for us from Marietta, Georgia.